You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, the Podcast Mogul. I am excited to introduce to you our guest today. They are known as the Quiz Funnel Queen. She is the CEO of the Momentum Agency and the creative Quiz and Grow Rich, as well as the co-author of the Funnels Done Right system. She's an award-winning instructional designer with over 20 years of experience creating learning experiences and content for Fortune 500 companies like Barnes & Noble and tech startups like Lead Pages. A former teacher and corporate trainer, our guest is now an entrepreneur and author with a passion for marketing and marketing technology. After coaching and teaching hundreds of entrepreneurs on social media, marketing, and business strategy, she realized that the biggest gap was implementation. This spurred our guest to become the author of Girlfriend, It's Your Time, and co-author of The Profitable Woman's Playbook. Her articles have been featured in the Huffington Post, Forbes.com, CareerRealism.com, and Career Magazine. And she's been highlighted by Money Magazine, Black Enterprise, and the Boss Network. I am so excited to have Tai Goodwin, the Quiz Funnel Queen herself, on the show today to share her wealth of knowledge and experience with us. Tai, welcome.
Thank you, Phil. I am so excited for this conversation.
So, as I was telling you before, that was completely written by AI, simply by taking your bio from your website.
Okay.
How was it?
It was, I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Good. All right, cool. I guess that's another tool I can put in my handy book for podcasters to use if they're low on time and do create some great intros. But Tai, I read through all that it was interesting. There was some great stuff, but the main question that we always start here on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur, is why? Why did you become an entrepreneur, or specifically a digital entrepreneur? So, Tai?
Yeah, well, it all started 20 years ago, Phil, when I was pregnant with my daughter, and my intention was that I did not want to go back to work. I wanted to be at home with her, did not want to have to put her in daycare. And so that was the first thing that spurred me to become an entrepreneur. Before that, I was a teacher, and then I was a corporate trainer. And her being born was what prompted that. Now, it didn't work out that way, right? I ended up launching while working for a number of years, but she's the reason that I am doing what I'm doing right now.
So it all started with family, pretty much. It was family, a newborn, new start, new career in essence. Like with the rebirth, it's a rebirth of yourself. So it didn't just start being an entrepreneur. You obviously had to work alongside. What were some of the first projects that you did?
Well, back then I was doing, I was the savvy VA. And this was before virtual assisting was like a really big thing. And I owned the domain name, the Savvy VA. I was doing desktop publishing. Does anybody even remember that term? Like desktop publishing and like using like macro media software and oh my gosh, all the
You're going old school. You're going old
Oh
school.
my
I don't even think half the population right now knows what we're talking about. But
No.
continue.
Yeah, but that's what I started doing. And one of my very first projects was editing, editing someone's paper for them as a virtual assistant. And it was on nurse informatics. Yeah, right. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I edited her paper. She was amazed at it. She loved it. And that was probably one of the first jobs I did as an entrepreneur.
And fast forward 20 years later, you're now known as the quiz queen.
Yes. And that's been like some twists and turns, like most entrepreneurs, back in the day, we used to have business cards. I don't think most people we have digital business cards now, which are so cool. But, I could literally go through the drawer and see the different names of the businesses that I've had over the years if I've evolved, into this. And like you said in the bio, I did coaching before. I did consulting before. But what I realized was that implementation is the hardest thing for a lot of my clients who are coaches and consultants, service-based people who are brilliant at what they do, but they don't want to sit there and write emails. They don't want to sit there and figure out email automations for their webinar and for their quizzes and all that kind of stuff. So that's where we get to come in and we get to help them like take that stuff off their plate and do all that implementation for them.
Love that. So when did you pivot from editing people's papers to other freelancing VA jobs to become known as the quiz queen and writing quiz and grow rich?
Yeah.
Like, that started happening.
Well, at the time I wanted to coach, career people, right? Because my story in my own career, I'd gone from a $45,000 job to a $64,000 job in one career move. And it was because I hired a coach. And I'm like, oh my gosh, coaching is amazing. I want to coach. I want to help more women. And quite honestly, I said, I want to help more women of color who are single moms, because I was a single mom at the time. I want to help them up-level their careers. And back then, single moms, especially women of color, were not investing in coaching, right? People were still trying to figure out what coaching was. But what I was doing was using social media. And everybody started saying, oh my gosh, you're really good at this stuff. I had about 14. Now think about this, Phil. This is back, at this point, about 14, 15 years ago at this point.
So MySpace is popping off right now.
Facebook was there, but Facebook and Twitter were the new players.
Yeah.
I had about 15,000 followers on Twitter, had a podcast that was getting like 10,000 downloads like a month. This was back when people were still doing their podcast in their car, right? It was not fancy as it is today, right? And so people were like, oh my gosh, you're so good at this. Can you teach me how to do it? So I started teaching people how to use Twitter and Facebook and, create blog content. And then somebody got really smart and they said, well, can you just do it for me? Can I pay you and you just do it for me? I said, oh, I absolutely can. And so that's how we evolved into it. And it's like just any real entrepreneur story, you're going to find a need that people have and you're going to fill it. And then how we got to quizzes. My last day job was about 6 years ago. I was working at Lead Pages. And when I left Lead Pages, I needed to get clients. And I used a quiz. I used one quiz. And the first time I sent it out to like a list of people I had talked to in about 2.5 years, because while I was there, I couldn't have a business, right? Mm-hmm. And so 2.5 years later, I sent them, hey, take my quiz. Within 1 week, I had 500 people on my email list, built up my audience and built up my business. So a few months later, I said, hey, I want to do more of that. And so I used a Facebook ad in one quiz. And in 4 months, Phil, I added over 9,000 people to my email list, tripled my coaching business, and I never had to wonder where my next clients were coming from, all because of a simple quiz.
Wow.
So that's what led me to, again, finding a need. My clients are brilliant. They're amazing at what they do. What's their problem? They don't know how to get in front of enough people. What's something they can use to get in front of more people and get even more information?
A quiz.
So that's how we got to be the quiz queen and create quizzes, for our clients. And it's just been so much fun.
I can only imagine how much fun you have. Like, you're taking I'm guessing what teachers you love doing and creating quizzes for their students, but now you're using quizzes to generate business for your clients.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So when did you have that aha moment that you were like, yeah, quizzes, like obviously when you sent that list, a 2-year-old list, a
Yeah.
cold email, take my list. But why was it what was it about quizzes? Like where did the quiz idea come?
So it came from my clients. At the time, I was still coaching people. But I was coaching them around entrepreneurship, right? And, how to start using marketing, content, and all that kind of stuff. And at this point, this was about maybe 2015. When I first created my quiz, it was 2013. And what was happening was everybody was like, I'm a coach, I'm a coach, I'm a coach, because that's what everybody said. And I'm looking at my clients and I'm like, you're not really a coach, right? So my very first quiz was, what type of entrepreneur are you? And it was helping my clients. I used it internally in my business to help my clients understand, are you a trailblazer? Are you the coach? Are you the teacher? Or are you the actualizer, the person that does the implementation? Because what was happening was they were trying to be coaches when what they really wanted to do was consult. And then people were getting mad because I paid you to be a coach, but all you're doing is just telling me what to do. That's not a coach at all. That's a consultant. Or you a trailblazer, you're trying to be behind the scenes and, build these websites. But what you really want to do is you want to speak on stages and write books and talk to people. So that was what I created that quiz for. It was internal. It was helping my clients, and I would see them get results like, oh my gosh, I don't have to be a coach. Thank God, right? Because they hated it. Or I don't have to be on stage and selling books. I can work behind the scenes and be really good at what I do. Yes. And so that got me excited about helping them get that aha moment. But that was me. The aha moment that I had was from one of my clients, which was an e-commerce client. And actually, this was my very first done for you quiz person. Like, I built her quiz from scratch. The year was 2020, right? So, and I say that with that because it was the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. February 2020, my client, who was a doctor, by the way, she was an eye doctor. She was launching a magnetic eyelash line. Okay. So I've got the screenshots that show this. We created a quiz for her to help people figure out what eyelash was going to be right for them. In 2 weeks, the very first email that we sent after the quiz generated $23,000 in sales.
Wow.
$23,000. And this isn't like high ticket, it was a $10,000 program. This was like eyelash. It was like $60, $90. But what happened is people would take the quiz and it would say, oh, like one of the eyelashes was the heiress, or one of them was like the diva, right? Mm. Can I say the B word on here?
Yes, the C word is the only one that we don't allow.
We're not gonna say that, but one of them was like the bitch, right? It was like that, like, and it was like Foxy bitch or something like that. And people would get their quiz result and like, oh my gosh, the heiress is the lash I'm gonna take, and they would buy the eyelashes. 2 weeks, $23,000 in sales. And that was when I was just getting started figuring things out, right? But I saw the power of that. And then I started doing more reading and research on it. And what happens is people love personalization. And then from the business side, so people get a win because they get some insight they didn't have about themselves. But from a business side, it's really hard to market to people when all you have is their email address. But if I'm asking the right questions and now I have your email address, I know what keeps you up at night. I know that you prefer to go out to dinner with your husband as opposed to going to work. I can now send you emails about, hey, we got some new lashes for you for date night, versus, hey, you want to wow them at the office on your next Zoom call, get these lashes, right?
Segment them by list. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the magic. And that's what
you can do ads specific.
And so many people miss that. They think, oh, it's just going to be fun and we're going to just throw these questions together. No, you've got to ask the right questions, because that segmentation, which lets you personalize the messages, that's where you get your sales.
I don't know my audience. At this moment, I don't care about my audience. I'm like, my mind is blown by this. Because like, I think about all the quizzes that I used to do on Facebook that says, what musical thing you are, like, and the amount of like, well, okay, so my life is just ruined. Thank you for that, quiz queen, Ty. I would like to know. Let's go. Let's specifically someone jumping a 9 to 5 into the entrepreneur. They're scared. They have a daughter or they have a son. They have a new family, and they want to be like you. They want to stay at home because they're like, I remember when I was young, my mommy was there. I want my mommy there. What suggestion? What tip do you have for them?
Now the tip that I've got for most people is you have to think like an entrepreneur. And I say that with such deep admiration for those people. Like, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a business. The market is so saturated right now with everybody who thinks that because I can post on Instagram and because I can make TikTok reels, I'm going to get a bunch of clients like tomorrow. People don't realize that even though the barrier of entry has gotten lower, the barrier to success has gotten more complicated. And if you don't know how to think like an entrepreneur, you're going to have a really hard time. So my biggest thing, or the best example I can give you, is when I hear people say, well, I don't need to really do marketing. I'm just going to post this out on social media, right? And I'm thinking, you do realize that there's a reason entire companies have entire marketing and sales departments. It's not just some fluke. It's not just, oh, I'm going to post it on Facebook and get. No, those things happen occasionally, but you've got to come into this thinking like, okay, I'm building a business. That means I got to know who I'm talking to. I've got to make sure I have a real product that solves a real problem, so people will really pay for it, right? It's those things. If you really, really want to start a business, and listen, I'm all for like passion, right? And I love making baskets. I'm going to start a basket business. Okay. As long as you can find people who are willing and able to pay for your baskets, go for it. But if you're jumping out there and, you eventually really want to leave your day job so you can have more time with your family, I would start thinking like an entrepreneur first and look for the problem that you can solve with your skills and the people that are willing and able to pay you to solve that problem. Because if you can nail those two things, we can teach you all the rest of the stuff.
Oh, so true. Where are you going in 5 years? What's next? What's the next 5 years? In 5 years, clap the hands. We're 5 years ahead. What is Ty doing?
In 5 years, the quiz queen is, I am working in my bed and breakfast. You didn't expect that, right?
No, I love it. I love the unexpected. I love that I'm thinking like, okay, how is she going to turn it into the quiz queen? Then I'm like, marketing she's gotten taken care of.
Yeah. Well, you know what? So I love this side of what I do. So over the next 5 years, we've got Quiz and Grow Rich. We're getting that book together. We've got the methodology down. So let me give you a little backstory to help you see where I'm going. So I know I don't look my age. Let me say that. Right. I just turned 50 this year. And I love that. And I'll take that all day long. Right. That I get it all the time. I don't look 50. But here's the thing. I was doing webinars 20 years ago, actually 30 years ago. No, not 30 years ago. What was it? 1999. Right.
Just over 20 to 25. We'll say 25 years. We'll go 25 years. Right. We'll give you 25 years.
Yeah. And I remember because my whole company that I worked for, they were so scared of Y2K. Remember Y2K was a big thing. Oh my gosh, the banks are going to die.
Oh God, yeah.
And so I was working for a company that had a national sales organization, right? So we couldn't pull our people off the floor. So it was my job to do virtual training. So I was doing webinars for people all over the country and even in Mexico back in 1999. There are still people today trying to figure out what the heck to do with webinars, right? But it's 25 years in the making. I think quizzes are the new webinar, right? It's had some ups and downs, right? But what's happening is people need an interactive way to attract leads. They don't just want a PDF download, right? Yeah, checklist, everybody's got that. Fine. So they're looking for something that's interactive, and that's what a quiz is. And so we're on this crest of quizzes becoming more commonplace. Like you go to Sephora, they've got like 20 quizzes about your eyelashes and your lipstick. Who is it? I think it's Lowe's has a quiz around what type of grill master are you, right? To help you figure out what kind of grill, right? So we're starting to see that. So I figure in the next 5 years as the quiz queen, as I help people understand and come in and learn how to slay quizzes so that they can generate leads, I'm going to be done with that. And I'm going to move on to my passion, which is books. I've always loved books. I'm a bibliophile. I would rather go book shopping than shoe shopping. So my retirement plan, Phil, is to open a bed and breakfast called the Boutique.
Oh,
Right?
a great name.
Yeah. So I just get to hang around, have people that want to, they want to come write. They want to meet their favorite author, get to come sit and have hot chocolate and talk about books and go to sleep, go take a nap, go in the garden. That's what I'm looking for in the next 5
Not going
years.
to lie. I'm going to definitely be keeping an eye out for that. Where's your email list so I can be on that? The first one. Can I be the first? Can I be the first name on that email list?
Yes, absolutely.
I love that. I love that in the next 5 years for you. That's an amazing goal, and obviously you're going to reach it. It's no doubt about it. Because if you're already you're nearly at the 25 years, you're going to have to retire, right? You have to retire, and why not retire? My God,
Yeah.
I love this. I'm coming. I hate this part because I have to say goodbye to you. I don't want to say goodbye. I'm having a fun conversation with you, but we're coming to the spark question by Yes Theory and Seek Discomfort, where we want to spark conversation. So make sure you ask this the next time. Oh, this is oh my God. Again, 3 in a row. For my audience, if you're listening to this thing, the question seems to always connect with the conversation. And I swear, I'm just randomly picking them off the top here. But what's your moonshot? A dream that's so big that it scares you.
The dream that's so big that it scares me. Oh, that's a really, really good question. It's the novel that I want to write, right? I've got this novel and it's all around time. And there's a fun way to think about time. And it's, every now and then, every road trip that I take, I actually start telling the story and recording like little pieces and bits of it. But that's I would love to have like a best-selling novel, right? That's like my big moonshot. That would be so amazing and so cool.
Well, you know what? You're starting recording. You already have it. And with AI, to write it, all you have to do is throw it into an audiogram, and you got it all written out. And then I know you got this. I see it. I see it. By the time you have your bed and breakfast, most of the story is pretty much mapped out. And then by the time your bed and breakfast is like 2 years old, your novel, you're going to be the first novelist to be signing books inside your bed and breakfast. I'm calling it.
Oh my God.
I'm calling it here on the show.
I love that, Phil. I have to come back now because you're sewing into my vision. I love it.
I want to see it happen because I love reading too. I love reading all those types of books. And so, yes, I want to be able to read that time book because I'm fascinated by time. And speaking of time, we are running out of time, Ty. So I'm going to jump off. I swear these segues are not planned. The universe works in mysterious ways, but I'm going to jump off here. Please let my audience know where they can get in contact with you, follow you, and help support you, or learn how to become a quiz queen or king or quiz person themselves.
So my name, Tai Goodwin, TAIGOODWIN. You can use that on any social media platform to connect with me, Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok and LinkedIn. I'm out there in all those places. Now, if you want some really, really fun stuff, you can always go to quizandgrowrich.com. And that's where you'll find information about quizzes. We've got different types of quizzes, examples of quizzes. You can even take a quiz on which type of quiz you should use for your business. And if you want to have a lot of fun with that, you'll take that quiz, you'll get a report, and who knows, you may be generating leads with the quiz within the next 30 days. Just go to that link, Quiz and Grow Rich, and we can help you find out.
Awesome. Ty, thank you again for being on the show. It was a pleasure talking with you, learning about you, and I'm definitely going to enjoy rereading the transcript of this episode and pulling out those great nuggets that you dropped, especially about quizzes. I'm going to jump on the Quiz and Grow Rich site soon. So I want to thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Phil. It was my absolute pleasure.
And to my audience, as you know, as usual, the links to Ty's stuff will be in the show notes. Make sure you go over to Quiz and Grow Rich and find a quiz that's the best quiz for you by using the quiz. And I didn't think I would be able to say quiz so many times in an episode. But hey, new things are happening all the time. So to my audience, thank you again for listening. And remember to always invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.